Makes it nice. All right, we're live with the Typo3 guy. What's up, bud?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I forgot to ask you before we started how to pronounce your name. Is it Mathias or?
Yeah, that's actually pretty decent, man. That's cool.
Okay.
But everybody goes with Mathias too, which is just like the shortened thing, and you can't get rid of the th stuff, which seems to pose some problems for people. But
right,
hey, dude works too. Typo3 guy works too as of now.
You seem like I know a handful of Germans in the Magento community, and and there's a certain personality type or stereotype, maybe a little more on the serious side, maybe a little bit less tattoos, maybe you seem culturally. I don't know if American is the right word, but you seem like you've got an interesting overlap of cultures,
I'm not entirely sure whether it's culture. I think it's more like my upbringing. So my parents used to have like a rock band in the 70s, and then gave that up when the
that
kids came.
Explains it.
And I basically grew up between instruments, and there was always music around. I used to DJ a lot. Then I did my apprenticeship in musical instrument wholesale. So there was always music around.
Nice.
And with all those things, then I guess this rock and roll attitude, I love it. It sticks.
I love it. I love it. I love your tattoo. I remember it was a word, and I can't remember what the word was. Yeah, that one.
This one?
Uneven. Yeah. I love it. I was like, what does it even mean? I don't even understand, but I thought it looked awesome.
Yeah. Non-conforming, that's basically the literal definition.
Okay.
From the Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, so that's the definition of the word uneven is non-conforming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because most people are like, why didn't you just write odd? Wouldn't that be the cheaper tattoo, right? Just three letters, and then I go like, well, and then there's people. Thinking that I don't believe in equal opportunity, right? Because we're uneven. Those things. I was like, dude, hell no, you're getting this wildly wrong right now. So
what you need, need to add a little explainer underneath it. Just add a little,
like
maybe
a QR code back here.
100%.
Scan for more information.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually thinking the other day, I kind of have gotten into Bitcoin recently, and there's QR codes galore. And I was thinking it would be, I was like, I'm kind of surprised there aren't more people with QR code tattoos, because people do all sorts of crazy, insane. I mean, there's people that tattoo Joe Rogan's face on themselves. Like, it's weird that there aren't more like QR code tattoos.
Well, I actually talked to Ignacio about this, whether it would make more sense, because we were trying to find each other on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's algorithm started like proposing weird things.
Right.
So I already tried to get my LinkedIn code, the one that you scan with your phone.
Right.
And just put it right here at the lower part of the wrist, so I could cover it up with the watch if need be, something like that.
Yeah,
But then I talked to one of the developers of LinkedIn, and he wouldn't guarantee that this URL wouldn't ever change. And then I decided, well, that would be fucked up, wouldn't it? So my current idea is just like setting up some vCard thing on my own private website, and then just do a redirect to LinkedIn or wherever.
Okay,
to do that.
So you've put some thought into this.
I'm not done with the vCard tattoo yet. Although what's really cool, a friend of mine actually has his vCard NFC chip implanted.
No way.
But I think he has it. I think in the top of his hand, so you can just put your iPhone on top of his hand and you get his vCard information.
That's so crazy. So you were recently at the live panel in Poland. Talking through some of the madness that's going on with the kind of the open source uprising and the association Adobe. I think that I think that Willem told me that Typo3 has this really interesting organization. I think he said something to the effect of the community itself somehow owns the product or something to that effect. And I wanted to kind of just learn more about the structure in general and see if we can maybe draw some analogies to how we can fix whatever this crazy conglomeration of entities is that within the Magento world.
But to be honest, I don't even think it's that crazy. Maybe I'm the weird one off with that one, but I don't even think it's crazy what's going on right now. Okay. I can completely understand Adobe's point of view and why they act the way they do right now. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily mean I agree with it. I would have done it differently, but I understand why they're doing it. So yeah, I don't hold any grudge against them or so. But
yeah, and I have different thoughts and parts of me on different ways of thinking on this. But part of me totally understands. You're a business. You buy a thing. You want the thing to give you a return on investment. Nobody's doing anything crazy. Everybody kind of has their own internal incentives within the company and things they got to worry about, and it just kind of chugs along. And meanwhile, in one sense, from my perspective, and I think there's some interesting data on this, the community has been kind of dying in a way. Not absolutely. Nothing dies absolutely. It's a matter of, is it thriving or not? And so, what's the answer? And you're the CEO of Typo3, so you have, I'm sure, leadership responsibilities, and you get that. You're not just a random independent developer that's screaming at the moon. So I think you have a really interesting perspective on all this.
Yeah, I mean, in general, because you were asking about the structure of the entire thing, we do have the usual open source story. So the old school open source story, because Typo3 is around for more than 20 years now. Wow. So some brilliant guy comes up with an idea in his bedroom in Copenhagen, Denmark, and says, "Okay, this is my gift to the world. People may use it. I don't really care that much, but it would be cool if I can give something back." And Casper was content with that. And as things progress over time, you're the thing is getting bigger. I think in 2003, if you hit Google and just typed CMS, we would be the top pick. Mm-hmm. So this is and we put tremendous amount of work to fucking that up, by the way. But
I think I have my cold open for the episode squared away.
Well, if you do something like a fuck up night format, count me in, man. This is a really good one.
Yeah.
How to throw away global market leadership as an open source content management system in just 4 years. A guide to failure, something like that.
3 easy steps.
Oh yeah, right. Subscribe now, and we will send you $50. No, it's so. But as things happen, things get bigger, and we were starting to do something like a snowboard tour, right? Which is the weirdest idea ever. You pick 150 nerds that last time they had anything to do with sports was probably high school, and you put them on snowboards. What could go wrong? Yeah. But suddenly there's operational stuff you have to take care about. So who rents the place? Who takes the financial risk to go to the operator of the skiing resort and vouch for 120 ski passes for a week, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, and then there was that other thing that Casper, who invented Typo3, was basically living off donations. And we figured that income stream is not stable enough to support the kit that was on the way. So the basic ideas, some pure logical things, others that are more close to the heart, but that was the idea. Mm-hmm. So we founded an association, which is located in Switzerland, and then we have members, and they pay their membership fee, and most of them are with us for 17 years now, and
wow.
don't see any reason to quit.
Can you share real quick just the scale of maybe the rough numbers of members or number of users or something, just kind of real ballpark?
In terms of members, we're currently at roughly 900. So
Okay.
this isn't a crazy huge thing.
Yeah.
But these and I can talk all numbers because you can look them up online anyways. So
Yeah.
So these members generate a yearly budget that the association can spend of between 750,000 to 850,000 euros, which would be, I guess, roughly 900 to $1 million.
Yeah.
So 900,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Each year.
That's awesome.
And this income stream is stable for almost 17 years now.
That's
and
so cool.
You can do stuff with it, right?
Yeah.
You don't go buy some huge place or something, but it'll get you somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
And we have a budgeting process right now, so there's a certain amount of set budgets, stuff you have to take care of, accounting. Mm-hmm. The lawyer that takes care of the trademark, because you always have to protect your trademark,
Right.
because otherwise, right?
Right.
So those things.
Right.
The person who does the annual bank statement, for example. Mm-hmm. But that's that. That's the only stuff that's not done on a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
fast forward a couple of years, and I came up with the idea to basically sell longer support cycles or longer support terms. Because in the end, if you think about it, what's the only thing that truly motivates a developer to contribute to an open source project? They want to see their shit on the road, out in the open.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
That's a big part of
And
the
then-
frustration I see in the community is when
Absolutely.
their shit is stalled up waiting for approvals and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were in a similar situation because with Typo3 we solve rather complex problems. Like putting a simple website onto the internet, that's easy. And there's tons of tools that do a great job with that.
Yeah.
But if you start having like seriously complicated requirements, like I want one system, but I have 60 sites that span 40 different languages.
Yeah.
This is basically where the point where WordPress doesn't get you anywhere.
Right. Right.
And especially when you go into multilingual stuff, the devil is in the details. So
Yep.
say you
Similar
start
thing
on your
with
site in
Magento.
English.
Yep. Similar
I
deal
get-
with
I guess
Magento.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So say you start off your website in English and somebody walks in and does a translation to Spanish.
Yeah.
What happens a month later when the English version gets an update or a change? Who informs the translating person, hey, there's an update, maybe check if your translation is no longer up to date.
Right.
Or whether you need to
Right.
fix it. And
Right.
we have stuff like that built in the system, right?
Right.
So you have like a
Right.
diff
Right.
view that you might know from coding.
Right.
And
Oh yeah.
So stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so we solve complex issues. We
Yeah.
have, so for example, university websites.
Nice.
Lots of content, lots of editors, and we have 60% market share in the DACH region with that. So
Nice.
that's the thing. As with every customer that has complex problems, they want to protect their investment for a long time.
Yeah.
So they were the clients were. The clients, and more than the clients, the agencies, were basically saying, hey, you need to support that super old version even longer because we don't want to upgrade. Mm-hmm. And then I have the developers on the other side that say, well, but we want to see our stuff too. Mm-hmm. So, and then the customers came back and said, yeah, but it's a huge problem. And I was like, well, but okay, but if you have a problem, you also have money. Right? Because otherwise... And
if you don't
so
have money, it's not an important enough problem.
Exactly. And that was basically the way how we determined the price point for the product, which is 2,000 euros per year. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the 2,000 euros, your site can't be that complicated, so the upgrade is easy. And you need to upgrade eventually anyways.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to support that forever.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if your site is remarkably complex or getting the people into the same room to talk about an upgrade, in a global enterprise, this is a huge undertaking. I remember that Hugo Boss, it actually took them, I think, 9 months to get everybody who would have a say in the relaunch into a room.
Oh, wow.
because they're constantly traveling fashion shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And once this thing hit, with the support extensions, and we made a lot more, or we generated a lot more revenue than we thought we were. So we were aiming somewhere around the $100,000 mark. We ended up at 1 point something million. And I put all of this into the development of Typo3. So all the contributors that I knew did amazing work, I called them up and was like, okay, why are you not contributing more? And they were like, well, I got to pay my rent. And I was, cool, so that's the block. Let me unblock you. Right? So I'm basically, I always just stuck to the same principle. I don't pay competitively, but in time. And it would pay up front. Which, even up front. That would be the thing. And
That's
that
awesome.
makes negotiations with agencies super easy, because you call them up and say, hi, I need your number one Typo3 guy for 1 year, and I'll pay up front.
That's cool. I love it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It simply worked. And,
that's so cool.
After we did this for 2 years, then the idea came up, hey, why don't we have a company that does even more than that and expands on the entire idea, getting the open source stuff together with the business side of things.
Okay.
And open source for us is hard because we are GPL2. So we can't do shit. And
remind me GPL2, what's the basic, what's the TLDR on that one?
From a business side of view, I'd say the TLDR is, if I can sell you the code in the sense of that you get access to the source code, you pay me money. But if you put that source code I gave you on GitHub, I can't do shit.
Okay, so they can do whatever they want with it, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we also figured a way, or it's not a legally sound way of doing something, but I can't stop you from putting the stuff on GitHub.
Yeah.
But no one can force me to further provide you with the updates. So in your mutual or in our mutual interest, I invest the money back into the project. And you you don't want to be the one guy on the planet that has to tell his client, well, I cannot provide the prolonged long-term support to you because I fucked up. Right. So this is how things keep in the balance, and there's no hard feelings whatsoever.
Right. Nice. And so do you have a free open source version, and then the enterprise version is the 2000?
There's
so the whole thing
version.
Just one version. Okay.
Exactly. The only thing we have is what you're basically buying after the community and the volunteers gave you, say, 3 years of bug fixing and security fixes, stuff like that. The community says, okay, we're done with this. We don't want to support like this 3-year-old stuff anymore. That's when we take over with the company, and you buy access to security updates and browser compatibility updates. So stuff that the open source people wrote 6 years ago, if Google decides that Chrome does something differently somewhere deep within its JavaScript engine, then we do the adjustment and then provide the source code back. Right. And then we have GDPR, which is a huge thing in Europe. And basically, it forces you to have the latest available software version, paid or not, or unpaid.
Oh,
and if something goes wrong and you don't have our extended long-term support, you're screwed.
You're liable.
Big time.
Okay, right.
Well, it's not just that. Yes, you're liable, but there's also a fine on top.
Gotcha. So you're double
and
liable.
The fines, and the fines are mean. I mean, really mean.
Yeah.
We're talking millions here. And,
Yeah. No,
So
I built
good for us. Good for open source.
Yeah. I built an email marketing plugin for Magento. And I, at one point, this was kind of before GDPR came out. And at one point I looked into some of the like spam fines in certain, I think Germany and certain countries. And I was like, and it was the type of stuff that's common now with automated e-commerce marketing, abandoned cart, stuff like that. But I remember at the time going, I don't know if it's 100% clearly defined. And I had a couple German customers that had different specific things they wanted to do. And I remember thinking like, would I be liable for this? I hope not. And so, yeah, you guys don't mess around. It's good that, you guys and obviously other countries in Europe, are holding the line on privacy and different things like that. It's important. But
it's the politicians. It's not me in person, man.
Yeah. So what is so you guys have kind of a more pure, the whole thing is more pure, right? There's one product. It's owned by everybody. There isn't the two different things, right? It's smaller, like you said. I'm a fan of smaller, right? Like I'm a fan of what the I don't know what to call them, the Mosca, the Hoover guys. This thing that's happening. Yeah, it's small relative to the rest of the ecosystem, but I think that's cool. And, maybe it stays relatively small and they kind of do their thing. And then the other, there's the main open source. Who knows where the thing's going to go. But you guys are more pure in almost every sense of the word. And so what's your take on, you mentioned that like you kind of understand and you don't even necessarily think it's that weird or convoluted what the Adobe Magento situation is. What's your take on it?
I've not slept much since I've come back from Poland because this constantly like keeps my head spinning. Plus, Twitter is exploding, and yeah. But so imagine you went to Walmart and I don't even know whether there's some random grocery and you pick up like an apple, right? Not the computer, but like the fruit. Yeah. And you get out of the grocery store and suddenly a guy runs past you and goes like, "Sir, like, I need the seeds once you're done eating that apple."
Okay.
And I really put love into that apple. And I want to have the seeds and then plant something new from it so you can have more apples later. Right? I would just go like, dude, I just bought this. This is mine. Right. And I still think this analogy
holds a really interesting analogy. Wow, that's
right?
a really interesting analogy. Yeah.
So I could understand why Adobe would simply go and I don't mean to say it's their intention, but let's assume the worst scenario, or the worst case scenario is Adobe buys Magento, grabs everything they want to have from them, and then they just throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
That's fine. Don't be mad at Adobe. Be mad at the guy who sold the thing and didn't put a 10-year commitment for open source in the contract.
Yeah.
Huh?
In many ways, I think, I've said I feel the Magento community has been dying in a certain sense. In many ways, I think it root causes back to when the original founders left and sold, basically, which was, years ago now. I'm a big believer in founder-led companies and products. And there are cases, like in your case, it sounds like, where somebody else can take over and really, really, really grok the product and the community. But I think that's the exception, not the rule,
I think that's a cultural thing, to be honest, because this grow a company, sell it, start another company. This is absolutely not the culture, at least in Western Europe.
Yeah.
In Western Europe, and especially in Germany and Austria and Switzerland, you have this mentality. Yeah. I'll build something. It's going to be my baby. I'm going to inherit it over to my kids, and they're going to grow it for their kids. So it's a completely different approach.
Totally.
And I think you can see the differences too. It's like, I think the Magento, if the Magento Association would start with their paid memberships tomorrow, they would bypass our budgets tenfold within a year. That's my prediction.
Right.
So this entire thing you have scales better. Ours lasts longer.
Right.
That's
right.
So
that's it. Right. That's a right. Yeah, because you can't deny the fact that whatever it is that the commercial arm of Magento has done in terms of events, in terms of marketing, in terms of adding a sexiness factor, in terms of whatever they've done, that a lot of times the sort of more pure open source developer people downplay and stuff, it's had an effect. And
yeah, sure.
So yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I get, I mean, it's pretty simple in that sense, like you said. I mean,
yeah,
maybe they shut it down. If so, like,
and that's well, it's fine what they do for the reasons they do it, right? I mean, they pay good money for it. I get it. So there's the entire idea that Adobe is somehow, and these were things that came up from different people on Twitter, but Twitter is a weird medium anyway. But Adobe had a legal, not legal, a moral obligation to stick to open source. Mm-hmm. Do they? I mean,
no.
$1.6 billion. So
yeah,
I was. That was
yeah.
my one side of things, like the horror scenario side of that spectrum, where the truth is somewhere in the middle, I guess.
Right.
I personally think that Adobe would be smart to embrace open source,
right?
Even in a limited sense,
right?
So in the sense of, you could envision the open source people bringing the innovation, also being some sort of a test bed for things, bringing an enormous amount of motivated developers that will do bug fixing. So because if you just need to check whether a PR works or not, this is a lot less work than actually figuring out where something breaks during a request, especially when systems become more complex. And you had all that to a degree outsourced, but not in an exploitive way.
Right.
Because the developers need to fix it in their own agencies anyways. Because they need to provide bug-free or as bug-free software as possible to the client.
Yep.
And then they're also friends with all the other people they meet on the Meet Magento events. And these are really, really cool and amazing people. I had such a good time, I tell you that. So, of course, they say, well, I want to spare them from all the hardship I've went to fix this bug.
Yep.
So he wants to share it with someone. And that's the motivation behind that whole thing.
Yep.
And in the end, if some great innovation comes out of the open source branch, and well, let's be frank here, it's not if something comes out of there, it's when something great comes from there.
Totally.
Adobe could incorporate it into the product.
Right.
So I think Adobe, and I don't think management or people in general at Adobe are stupid. I don't believe that.
No.
I think they're
tons
they're
of
smart people,
massively talented people there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that we won't see the horror scenario whatsoever. Yeah. I think it's more of how exactly do things work out, etc. And maybe Adobe doesn't even know yet themselves. That might also be the case.
Right, because they're a large organization. They probably have a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure they're considering lots of different options. I'm going to...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
First of all, they don't have stakeholders. They have shareholders.
Right.
And depending on the size of the shareholder, they kind of are your boss.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at Adobe. Be mad at the stock market. It's like
right. But I think. Yeah, so I like that perspective. It's a very kind of simple and clarifying perspective. I think the thing that people are struggling with and kind of the fault line is, do we just kind of accept that they're going to go, like, one way I see it is like what you said, they're going to do what makes sense for them. Let's not hate them. Let's not blame them. Let's accept that they have their incentives. They have their path they're going to take. So if we have another path that makes sense for our community, our customers, our circle of agencies, our network, let's do that. And I'm kind of a fan of that approach. But then the thing is like, well, people are saying, no, let's not do that, right? You're going to splinter the community. What we need to do is try to find a way to work together. Let's keep this relationship together. I saw in your Twitter bio you have ex-husband, which I thought was hilarious. Let's not get divorced.
Well, I'm in the middle of it.
Okay. Which was something. I think that's an important thing for people to talk about. It's so, you know what I mean? It's so common, and but so, like, let's not go there yet. And even the people that sort of propose the fork are saying, we don't have to fork yet. It's an option. Let's try to all work together, right? I think that's where things get a little messy, because on the one hand, in the sense that, like, we've been in that state for years now where we've started to facilitate a dialogue with Adobe, whatever the hell that means. And not that they're trying to frustrate the process, but they're going to move on a certain time scale because they're Adobe, and they're not going to discuss openly on GitHub every architectural decision that they have, as much as we would like them to do, as much as I'm assuming that's how Typo3 works. I'm assuming you guys probably just discuss everything right out in the open.
It depends. The tougher the architectural decision, the fewer people get it. So there's only few people to discuss with in the first place. But we also have a certain level of trust within the community in certain people. Right. So there's when somebody like Christian Kuhn or Benny Mack come up with some architectural decision, I ask, what does it do? Not why did you do it? Yep. Because I completely trust them in what they do.
Right. But when even if there's a smaller number of people involved in those architectural decisions or the architectural discussions, are they happening sort of in the open on GitHub, or are they sort of more behind closed doors, people talking and planning?
No, we don't use GitHub.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
We use GitHub for storing the Git repository, but the entire collaborative development process is handled with a Gerrit. Maybe you know it, like a code reviewing tool originated by Google.
Okay.
Because we're German, we love rules.
Yeah.
And so there's and nowadays you can do some of those things with GitHub, but we have a 4i principle for how the code looks like, not necessarily what it does do, but how does it look like? Is it easy to read? Are there tests in place, etc.? Then we have the pure testing part, which is I checked out the bug, it does exist, I apply your patch.
Right.
It now works, and not everything is on fire. Right. So, and on top of the author, you need at least 2 people to look at that patch and sign it off in order to get it into the system. Right. And that's where a lot of the commenting happens. And there's multiple patch sets to a change.
But I'm just saying, like, these discussions aren't happening in a private conference room at Typo3, the company, with 3 people who say, hey, don't talk. Like, it's the whole community, whatever the system is, all kind of has access to these. Okay. And to me,
I mean, in the end, there's certain discussions that we don't involve the entire community in.
Okay.
For example, do you want to go to a Magento conference and risk pissing off Adobe? That was a discussion we were having.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, first of all, I don't think I will piss them off, but you never know. Right? Maybe you get introduced as, hey, this is Mathias, the troublemaker from Typo3. He's gonna rip you a new one, right? And you're sitting, whoa, right?
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I kind of mean. And these are discussions where I frankly, and I hope the community of Typo3 understands this is where we do not set up like a committee to discuss things like
no,
these.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I get the sense though that things are more pure in the sense that probably a large percentage of your architectural decisions are sort of more out in the open. Whereas we have this little bit more there's the commercial entity and the open source and whatever the exact details are. And like you said, it's not to say that that's bad. I mean, when you have a private company, or I guess a public company, but when you have a company, they're going to discuss things internally. Yeah. I mean, that's I think it's inevitable. Yeah,
it absolutely is. But I just came while you were mentioning this. So, of course, there's stuff that code stuff that we don't give to the community for basically everything where money is involved. Because we have something what we call the professional service listing. That's the place if you are in basically the equivalent to the partner program in Magento. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain ranking to it.
Right.
We don't open source that. Right. Everybody keeps asking, so how does the ranking work? But
right.
Frankly, the only reason they want to know is because they want to fuck with it.
They want to hack it. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to trick it. So if we buy 2 more certifications tomorrow, we'll still be number 1, right? And I don't want that to happen. So there's certain factors that influence your rank, like what kind of membership level are you? But that we always want to keep the chance for the little guy to also be ranked on top.
Yeah, I completely
by contributing.
Yeah.
No money involved, right?
Yep.
Nothing like that.
Yep.
I want like the little girl from Kenya who just got out of high school. I want her to be able to contribute so much that she gets onto rank 1, right?
Totally. Yeah.
That's the equal opportunity idea.
Yeah. No, that completely makes sense. And there's going to be some mix of things that are private versus public. I can't even remember the original train of thought here. So
sorry, but
no. It was super interesting, but it's weird because some people are like, "Hey, let's just do our own thing, and hopefully everything will work out." And I almost imagine that thing being similar to Typo3 in the sense that like it could be member supported and sort of autonomous, right? And smaller. Right. And then other people saying, hey, listen, we got to keep this together. We got to work with Adobe. And then there's people on the Adobe side. I'm going to talk to a product manager over there next week who's a great guy about what's going on there and their thought process. And I think from their perspective, they're working day in and day out on all these things. And they're going like, what do you mean, guys? We're working on this. What are you talking about? We're not deprecating this. And
but nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
That's the problem.
And that's what I mean, that I get the sense you guys are more pure in the sense that I don't think you have that same dynamic. There might be some things that people don't know, but I get the sense that you don't have that same, there's more trust. You don't have the same problem. I don't know quite how to articulate it.
No. I think I get exactly where we're getting. We don't have that problem anymore, and that's the vital part. I mean, I mean, you saw the panel, right? When at a certain point, I just leaned back and said, "Guys, this is like really hurtful." because I can see you doing the exact same. Right? Don't go down that road. Right? No, and we had meetings where I just going like, "Hey, Slava, Danny, be cool. Nobody thinks you're assholes.
Yeah.
The problem is you don't tell them what you do, and once people don't know what you do, they start making shit up, right? And take a look at the current political climate, right? They're going to make shit up that's so far over everything that it doesn't make sense. Just talk to the people. And if you say, well, we had a plan for Q1 to achieve this and that, but we failed with that, everybody will understand. Nobody will be pointing fingers and you going like, oh, you're lazy or whatever. If you say we tried this, inform people, involve them,
and they're in an awkward position where they're trying to be a conduit.
That was the first thing I told Slava. Like, man, you're in the shittiest place ever because you didn't build the thing. You're just one of the few that hasn't jumped ship yet.
Dude, Slava
Slava
is a beast, man. His company. I've known Slava forever. We've talked in person many times. I've had him on podcast many times. His company is super successful. He's contributed a ton. AtWorks has contributed a ton. Somebody linked me to the GitHub, and it's like 1,200 issues or pull requests or something. All sorts of stuff they fixed. And so there's so much there, but they're also in a position where at the end of the day, they're waiting for permission from Adobe for everything, because that's the nature of the beast, right? And I'm sure that they're doing the best they can. Everybody's doing the best they can, but you poke your head up and you go, wait a minute, this thing's dying. Why is this thing dying? Why are there issues that somebody really smart and motivated contributed an issue or a PR, and then it was auto closed after 90 days? And nobody ever looked at it. Like, what's, and then who knows? I don't know what the answer to that is. Maybe there's too many issues. Maybe there's too much noise. I don't know what the answer is.
Maybe there's an aggressive PHP company hiring off the important talent of Adobe. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
Right? But this is exactly, and this is also what I mean. Basically, I was like a broken record in Poznan because I kept repeating this stuff over and over again. Like, guys, as long as we don't know, don't assume, right? And this is also one of the I mean, we have like this phrase within Typo3 which applies to a ton of things, right? Just don't guess, know. Right?
Yeah.
This could be this and that. Well, then take your time and find out what it really is, and then get back to me, right?
Yeah.
No, guesswork gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
And this is just the stuff we don't know what's happening at Adobe.
I feel like
potentially we will never know though, and that's the part where you have to embrace that.
Yeah.
You'll just never know.
Yeah.
Right. So you can change it. Why worry?
I feel like you're a couples therapist for us, and it's like there's these that are
to a degree.
Like, you understand both perspectives, I think, really well, and it's.
I've been in the association on the working side of things. I've been out of the association on the yelling about them side of things. I was so popular within the Typo3 ecosystem that I got technically and officially banned from attending any events anymore. Right? I've done it all, man. And in the end, it's just like hard work. Yeah. I mean, I also told this to what's the from New York, Eric
Hallman.
Eric considers him. I guess so. Yeah. So Eric considers himself a troublemaker.
Oh yeah.
In communities, you need troublemakers. Yeah. Troublemakers are different from trolls. Right? Yeah. Trolls, they just want to see the world burn, right? And screw those people. They don't put anything to that. You need the troublemakers to ask the hard questions too.
Yeah.
The problem I see Eric creates for himself is that he not only asks the hard questions, but also in a harsh tone. and this immediately like reduces the amount of interest your partner in the conversation has on continuing said conversation.
Yeah.
So and I was in.
Yeah. And Eric and I are good friends, and we've had a lot of conversations, and every once in a while he'll go hard in the paint on Twitter, on some particular topic, and I think a lot of times he kind of holds back, and then, it's a tough balance. I think I'm starting to identify as a troublemaker. That's a word that I heard somebody use recently, and I think. Yeah, I guess that's maybe me. I try to be balanced, but I think there's something in my nature that's a little bit... I'm not the person that's good at dealing with politics. I'm just not. I've never worked in a company that was larger. I've always gravitated to smaller companies, and I've been self-employed now for 8 years. And so I'm kind of more independent-minded, and... but you need people within an organization that can function with. One of the things I think Willem is doing a great job of is not only did he build Hoova, but he's catalyzing a larger thing. He brought Vinay in, and he's, I think he's holding a line of a more balanced position, and I think he's doing a great job of that. And. I'm secretly hoping he becomes our BDFL,
I think he's super relaxing to be around.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. When I was talking to him, it's the tone of his voice, but it's also what he says that always comforts me to a degree. And I've only seen him for 2.5 days. Right.
Yeah.
But it's I love this. And then you have Vinay who's more the charge forward guy, but also passionate, and he wants to get stuff done, and things like that. Then Slava was very, very thoughtful of things. So you have a ton of personalities in the room, and trying to find a way to balance all these things. Yeah. And Nacho was obviously pissed off for whatever reason. I'm going to fly down to his place in 2 weeks, and then we'll talk it out. And
he's also we're also very good friends, and I love Nacho more than I can.
You have a couple of great friends, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like you said, it's a neat community, and it's awesome. And I think you're an honorary instant Magento legend. So it's been fun having you.
Oh boy!
Chime in.
So now I have to watch what I do. Oh boy!
But it's interesting. It's interesting what you said about the fact that you were a bit of a troublemaker. You've been on all sides. Were you a developer? Were you a developer yourself?
Yeah, I used. Okay. I used to do coding stuff, and I think the very first. We call them code sprints. I think they're hackathons in the Magento world, but they're basically, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The very first Typo3 code sprint ever was at my house.
Nice.
So,
I love it.
and there's still pictures, man. Boy, I'm like 22 and I look like I'm 12. I hope nobody ever finds those photos on the internet.
Yeah. We're gonna find them. No, that's interesting.
But in general, I used to code, but I also have. I mean, the apprenticeship and it's not a traineeship, but in Germany, in order to learn something that's not university, you pursue that apprenticeship for 3 years, and then you get like sheet of paper, and you do like an exam and stuff like that.
Right.
And I did that in trade. So I whenever you need to send like a 40-foot container from China to LA, hit me up. I'm pretty sure I can still fill the forms in.
Okay.
But also, my dad used to have an advertising agency back in the day. I do recall that I got introduced to the principle of debt when I was 7.
Okay.
Because I wanted some toy and it exceeded my allowance. So I was like, well, I better want that one. And it's, yeah, but you don't have enough money left. And then, yeah, but what if I take my allowance from next month? So I got like, my dad wrote a little sheet of paper and put like, you're now officially in debt.
I love it.
And you get like $7 and next month I get $7.10 back. So you interest to me. And, yeah.
At least he gave you a good rate. That was very kind of him.
Absolutely. But you know, I always was on the more business side of things, and when I got in touch with open source for the first time, I was just like, "What is this? This is an amazing product. Why would anyone give it away for free? What are you, stupid?"
Yeah.
Right? You could make millions of this.
Yeah.
And I do remember the first time I saw Casper. That was the first time that I was actually like hugged by a man that was not family.
Nice, yeah.
And at first that felt awesome, but thinking back nowadays, where it's like, you know, I show up at some Magento conference and it's handshaking, right? By the end of the first day, it's hugging people.
It's hugging
because you truly feel a connection and you want to express that somehow. And I got that. I got that off Casper too.
Yeah.
So that's also an open source story to a degree that has nothing to do with code whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it changed me. It truly did change me.
There's a camaraderie. There's a real sense of camaraderie, and I think it's and I could see it just in the photos and everything, and all of us that miss going to conferences and stuff like that, I think could feel it, and it was cool to see. But yeah, it's interesting that you I guess were a bit of a troublemaker, or are a bit of a troublemaker, and you were banned from events, and versus I think sometimes if you're in a position, a political position, right, Magento Association, et cetera, there's a tendency to play nice, which is a good thing. It's a feature, not a bug, or maybe it's a little bit of both, which can lead to, and I'm not a confrontational person. I mean, when I talk with this product manager from Adobe, I'm going to try to be as honest and blunt as possible, but I'm not a very confrontational person to person. Now, I might throw some tweets at the corporate entity. I might say Adobe is da 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 da, or the corporate overlords are trying to, you know. But but I think that
here's the thing:
the type of person, the type of person who is able to kind of be a bit, I guess, disagreeable, because there's a spectrum between truth and agreeableness, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're too far to one side, it's like you said, you say the truth, but it's too harsh. If you're too far to the other side, you're agreeable to the point where everybody in your circle is happy. Meanwhile, the thing's dying, the community's dying, the society's crumbling. Right. You know.
And I think this is exactly that. And one of the things that I also mentioned too, but who was that? Somebody from Poland. I was always saying, you know, like, never say fuck you, say fuck that, because what your good. Critique is about the situation, not about that person.
Right.
You know, and
really
you're technically you're not, and this, because it's deeper than that, right? You don't criticize Slava or Danny for what they do. You criticize the situation that they are part of. But it's always about the situation. Always criticize actions or situations. Never criticize people, because you don't know. People could change. Yeah, and that would be very mean if then, you know. And that's sort of a thing where I also think, yes, the situation right now with the Magento Association, or the output of the Magento Association, isn't as great as it could be.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
And you can apply criticism or come up with criticism for that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can try and find out why it happened. But don't say it's you guys run it, so you're the problem.
Yeah.
Because there could be problems you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
That neither Slava nor Denny have anything to do with.
And by the way, they're the ones putting in the actual work. I mean, I didn't volunteer to be in the association. I didn't do all the work that they've done. So they've volunteered their time to do this work. It's tricky, it's complicated. They're trying to balance a whole bunch of things, and now they're getting a bunch of shit for it. And so it's a tricky. I have all the respect in the world for everybody. I remember when I saw them put together the board, I said to myself, this is perfect. They have all the right people. Guido is another guy that was on there who, I don't know if you know him. He's an incredible guy. And I've
heard.
Yeah, he's recently stepped down. But I said to myself, they got all the right people. And so these are all people that get shit done. You know, these are not people that don't get things done in the real world. So, yeah, 100%. And I love the balance you're bringing to this. And I know we're about at our time here, but it was a blast to chat with you about this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any closing words? Anything you want to point people to?
If you feel you have to contribute to some open source project, contribute to us.
Hey, I love it.
That would be just the thing. And then once Magento Association and Adobe figured out, and you got the pure Magento open source back, you're free to leave. But
I love it. Awesome. Thanks, bud. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome.